Okay.
Keith, we just went live.
All right, great. How you been, Ben?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain. How about you?
Busy, but busy is good right now, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. That's for sure.
Certainly wouldn't want to sit around being bored at this time.
I know. I've got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-week-old. So when I'm not working from home, I've got a lot on my hands too. So
yeah.
Makes it difficult sometimes, but it's been fun.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you reaching out and signing up to do this.
For sure.
We'll get you going here in just a minute.
Cool.
Usually guys enter the room right at the beginning of the hour.
Okay, cool. I appreciate what you guys are doing. This is a big deal, man.
Oh, absolutely. Now
Being able to just get a bunch of guys together and talk football. I mean, shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty awesome.
We got guys filtering the room here. We'll get going. I just want to remind everybody to a lot of these guys have appeared on the Coaching Coordinator podcast. So to learn more about that or listen to these guys and more from them, follow me on Twitter at Coach K. Grabowski. We're excited to have Coach Ben Buys here. He's the head coach at LaSalle College Prep. And Coach is going to talk to us today about running back philosophy and drills. Coach, take it away.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming. I'll do my best to, if you guys have any questions, just shoot them up on the screen as we go, and I'll do my best to just answer them as we go along. Obviously, this is about running back, something called vital few, drill work, stuff like that. What's important? How do you practice it? How do you enforce it? This applies to running backs, but I think the way that some of this stuff is set up as far as what vital few is and how we enforce that and how we grade film and how we grade guys and give them the opportunity to grow, I think can be applied to a lot of different positions. So feel free to use this for any positions. My first job was coaching running backs at the college level, so I'm really fortunate to jump right into that. But my encouragement, I think, is sometimes running back coaches and tight end coaches kind of are the last guys. They're like, well, anybody can do that job. Just go ahead and, that guy can coach running backs or that guy can coach tight ends. Where my encouragement to everyone out there who does that is I think it's the best opportunity you have to learn both run game and pass game. And I think you can become an incredible coach being in that position of coaching running backs or tight ends because you have to know very thoroughly the run scheme and the pass scheme. And I think we can be great coaches if we teach our kids the same thing. And, I've been fortunate to have some good players, but hopefully I'll be able to teach them a little bit more along those lines. So we'll kind of jump into it. I'm not I don't love doing bio stuff, but at least let you guys know that at least I've coached a little bit here. I was at Azusa Pacific University for 9 years, a running back and run game coordinator. We had at least one all-conference back every year. Coached 5 players that were in NFL camp at some point. 2 of them are running backs, 3 of them are O-line. Fortunate to learn O-line from Jackie Slater. He worked with me for 8 years. Incredible guy. Learned top to bottom how to do that stuff. And then I've been the head coach at LaSalle College Prep for 1 year. The 3 years before I got hired, they had won 3 games combined. Last year, we were fortunate enough to win 6 and go to playoffs. I don't say that to brag, but I think some of the vital few stuff we talk about, I think this helps with building a winning culture. Okay, so when I talk about vital few, is what's really important. I know this comes from a business terminology, but I think it's important when it comes to our players is how do we give them something to really sink their teeth into, and how do we give them something to be successful at? And the bottom line is 20% of what you do affects our overall outcome by 80%. So in other words, what are the few things that you do as a running back or really any position that's so important that you do on a daily basis that really brings 80% of the production? And if you can focus on that 20% and take the defects out of that 20%, then your overall production is so much better. So a lot of this comes from a business terminology where they want to take the defects out of what they're doing instead of focusing on 100% of what you do. Focus on that 20% that's really important. And if you take the defects out, your productivity is going to go up. So that's where the term vital few and the understanding of that comes from. I was fortunate at Azusa Pacific to work with some great people and great head coach Victor Santa Cruz to put this all into play for us. And I think for any position you're coaching, if you can do that and say, what are the really vital things that we do? How can we do those better? It makes it more effective, and it makes it really clear for the kids, even when it comes down to grading them and all those things. Okay. So for my running backs, this is what I did for a long time. And this could be anything for you as a running back coach, but for me, it was perfect steps. And all that means is we're going to put ourselves in the right position to be successful. So whatever your scheme is, for us, it was a lot of inside zone, outside zone, and down scheme. But whatever that scheme is, how can you put yourself in the right position so that muscle memory takes over and then you can just be an athlete? But I wanted to have those perfect steps to be in that spot. Ball security, obviously, we all know that. Ball security is job security, everything we always talk about, really important. One and done cut and transitional speed. For me, as a running back, that was always so very important when I was not only recruiting running backs, but when I was coaching them is you love speed. It's awesome. It's great. But how efficiently can you get to that top end speed? How are you not going to waste movement? So really, you could call this efficiency of speed also, because we all like the guy that can juke a safety in open field, but really that's a very small percentage of what we do. Really, most of it is between the tackle box or 5 yards behind and 5 yards in front. This one cut and being efficient with the movement, having our feet underneath us and being able to explode out of it. That's really more important to a running back. And those big plays come with really good speed, but the 4 yards is a win. And if you can continue to teach that to guys, it's great. Blocking, those are the utmost importance. And there's a progression that I always taught those guys and always do teach them from the ground up, from the feet to the hands to the eyes to the hips, how we're going to be great at blocking. And then pass threat, especially in today's day and age with football, we have to be able to catch the footballs running backs. Have to be a threat out of the backfield. Have to be able to turn in our shadow and get downfield right away and not waste movement when it comes to that too. So when I talk about vital few, when I'd come into running back room, when I was specifically just coaching running backs, I'd say these are the 5 things you guys have to be good at. And then if we had issues during the year and, some guy thought he should be playing more than another, it was really easy for me to say, okay, look, your steps aren't perfect, or your transitional speed is lacking compared to what he's doing. And it gave me a way to be able to grade them in a way that was really efficient and gave them some real things to sink their teeth into, instead of just saying, well, you just got to be better. You just got to run harder. Yeah, that's great. We want them to, but maybe it's because they're not being efficient with their speed, or maybe their steps aren't good, so they're not running as hard because they're not putting their body in the right position. So again, good to give to them, but also a good way to really go around and make sure that they are being able to progress and know what to get better on is really important. Okay. From that, and guys, I'm not going to read through all this, but this is basically a measurement map of that. So if a perfect step is important to me, I put really specifically what those perfect steps were for everything from stance to alignment, the first 3 steps. If any of you guys want this, just shoot me an email. I'll send all this stuff to you. I can send the whole, it doesn't matter to me. I'll send you anything I have. And again, this is all based on your scheme. I can obviously go over our scheme and what we've done and the different things I've done. I don't think that's as important as being really clear with the guys on where they need to be and how to put their bodies. And then aiming point with your eyes, read, and ball security, exactly how I want ball security, how I want them changing the ball, how I want them coming into contact. About 4 or 5 years ago, I stopped ever putting 2 hands over the ball in the middle of our body. I know a lot of people teach that. Stop doing that. Learn that at a clinic. I think it's much more efficient. Just put your offhand over top of the ball and still use a good running method with your other arm. I learned that, and I think it changed a lot as far as, first of all, being more secure with the ball, but also being more efficient with our running motion. So, and then with a one and done cut, transitional speed, what that looks like, blocking, what that looks like, pass threat, what that looks like. And those are all different areas. Again, I want to give as much information as I can. I'm a big believer too that obviously every player is different, and some players thrive on information. It drives them. They love it. So they would love all that stuff I showed you. Others are so action oriented that they can't stand to look through all that stuff. It's okay. in those cases, I have to take them to the field and walk them through that stuff and make sure they understand it. But I think it's important to understand those guys and the differences in them so that when you do coach them, you know how to coach them in the correct way. And you don't want to frustrate a guy that's really action-oriented and make him sit down and tell you word for word what that sheet says. I really did it so that those kids who really need a ton of information know it. With that in mind, I always had, this is kind of like a drill log of what I do. And as you can see on the top, there's steps, ball security, one and done, blocking, and pass threat. And then I would have different areas of those that were important underneath that, and then the drills that coincide to that. The reason I always did this is I didn't want to do drills just to do them. I didn't want to just look like I was having a bunch of activity at practice and just getting through practice. I wanted to say, okay, where are we lacking right now? If we're lacking in ball security, I've got a catalog of drills that I can get better at here. Or, you know, let's make sure that our one and done is better. What do I need? What haven't I done in a while? Haven't I done trash cans or weak shoulder run or sideline drill? What haven't I done that can really improve on what they're doing? And then you build on this catalog as you have players and have action. So a lot of the drills that I came up with came from some deficiencies that I saw in what we were doing when it came to ball security or transitional speed or whatever. And anyway, I know this is majorly simple. Most people who are position coaches do this, but if you don't, I really, really encourage you, have a drill log. So you're not the guy that there's a practice plan in the last minute, you're trying to throw a couple things in there, but can actually be prepared before practice to say, okay, we really need to work on ball security. These are what I'm working on. So again, I can send that stuff to you guys. Not as important what they're called. We all have different names for things, but at least, again, having a plan behind what you're doing and not just doing it. Okay. Positional goals. This is, again, personal to me. This is stuff I handed to them. I'm not going to go over it because I think it's different for your scheme and what you're doing. But again, I wanted to give them concrete ways that they could be great. Things I was expecting excellence from them. And this is how I was expecting excellence: to set the pace, to be leaders, to have short memories, understand scheme, be team players, do the dirty work, build relationships, have a passion for improvement, and then give them ways to improve and master their craft. Again, people need leadership. I think as coaches, we're leaders. Bottom line, that's who we are. That's what we are. And our kids, we can't just tell them to be leaders. I think sometimes we say we need leaders, but how are we teaching them to be leaders and giving the actions they need for that? So I think as a position coach, that's our job. You teach them how to be leaders in a real succinct and great way, and give them real markers to be able to handle that stuff. So that's what that is, right? As we go on here, now I'll just go through some of the vital few, what it is, and then some of the drills that correspond with it. So this is another way that when I was at Azusa, we used to teach our kids that I think is really efficient. And again, I think it could be for any position, whether your quarterback's is pre-snap and post-snap read, footwork, direction of shoulder, whatever it is, or O-lineman, maybe it could be pre and post-snap read, first two steps, hand placement, whatever those vital few are. We would have a vital few like this, have a vital few, explain the vital few, show the drills that back up those vital few, and then show some game clips from us, and then some game clips from the NFL. And we did that because sometimes they need a little extra incentive that what we're teaching them is right. So obviously at the high school level, also game clips of college, because it's just a step above what these guys are doing. And I think it's a good way to, again, reinforce to them why this is important. If I'm going to take the time to go through this, it's important for you guys. So first thing, I don't have film on this because it's so simple, but first, second, and third step fundamentals, I would just have them go through the first step of everything, the second step of everything, and then the third step of everything. This is literally everyday drill, pre-practice, post-practice, to the fridge. And the reason I say to the fridge is because one of the first years I was coaching, I had a really young group of running backs come through that ended up being the best ones I ever coached. And they would, during camp, they're in their dorm rooms, and they were getting up and going to the fridge, doing the steps to inside zone to learn it, to have it be muscle memory so they could be successful, because they knew that I told them that's how they had to be successful. So real simple, but when we do those first, second, and third steps, I want to be really clear what I expect from them. So when we're doing inside zone from the gun, it's 45-degree step, closest to the quarterback. Second step is crossover. Third step is bring your shoulder square coming downhill at the play side leg of the center, which is our aiming point. Those are the first 3 steps. Puts our body in the right position, allows us to get a mesh with the quarterback, and those guys knew that. So they had to be great at that. They had to have a first 6-inch step, had to be that quick little drive step. They had to have a crossover. They had to get the shoulder squared. Real simple to them. They knew it every day. First step, second step, third step. Nothing after that, just those first 3. Okay, get it right. Okay, let's go to down scheme. What is it? Let's go to outside zone, wide zone. What is it? Let's go to our pitch scheme. What is it? And they got really good at doing those things. And again, it put their bodies in a position where they didn't have to think about those things, so their eyes could be on their read keys. They could have that feel, that innate feel that a lot of guys get as they run with the ball. So first thing we do, and a lot of all this clip is from when I was coaching at college, because I wasn't just coaching running backs this year as a high school coach. Was coaching some other things. So anyway, just mesh with the quarterback. And this is from under center. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it because, again, I think it depends on your scheme and how you want to do things. But really, really important, I think, that you have mesh time with quarterbacks. I always told my guys, especially if we're in a gun read system, and it's one of the things that frustrated me the most this year, is that my running backs and quarterbacks didn't take it seriously when we went to mesh drill, because it's got to be at 100 miles an hour through the mesh. It's got to be a realistic look with a coach giving you a read key and hopefully giving you a cut zone if you have enough coaches. But if it's not 100 miles an hour, then you can't form that relationship, especially in a play action offense or in a gun read offense that makes it efficient, and you're going to fumble the football because you're not going to have a good relationship. I tell them this like a guy and a girl having a relationship. You can't have a relationship with a girlfriend if you never spend time with her. That's how a running back and quarterback should be when it comes to their mesh. It's got to be consistently great. Quarterback's footwork has to be perfect. Running back's footwork has to be perfect, and it has to be done in a way that's efficient and fast. It can't be a half-speed drill. So, again, that's one of those drills. This is when we're doing stuff under center, get them some read keys, get them to get vertical off it. Depends on your scheme. Again, you can do this with a coach. Come in, give them a cone to work to, give them a read key where we're going, make sure their steps are right, slow it down if you need to. Again, don't let them get lazy on the little details. It's really important to me that details are good so their body's in the right position. This is a real simple drill. Again, how are we going to be efficient with our movement? This is you can do this with linebackers. You can do it with anything. Obviously, these guys are in running back stances, but put cones on the back of their feet. Say you're either going to fire out on your right foot, you're going to fire out on your left foot, and then you're going to explode out. And when the ball comes, you're going to explode out. If the cone moves, you false step. Okay, don't want to false step. Want to be on the balls of our feet. Don't want to rock. You're going to go run to the ball. Did not at any point. I had them going to get the ball and trying to get the ball. Had guys falling over each other, and at this point, I didn't need people hurting themselves just going after balls with no pads on. But again, this is a real simple drill we do at the very beginning of what we're doing, and making sure that we're not wasting movement, making sure that our feet are coming forward at all times. Again, you do it from the right foot or left foot. Okay, some clips here of perfect steps. I'll go to the tight so you can see this. Number 2 is going to be getting the ball here. If we watch the footwork, because it's in split backs, he's going to take a step back with 45 to let that split back cross his face. Shoulders are going to come square to the aiming point right there. He's coming front side leg of the center. It's great. Great aiming point. He's putting his body in a good position. Now he can be an athlete and get vertical off. All right. Again, helps to have good athletes, but that would have been a 5-yard gain even if he's not a great athlete. Turns it into a touchdown. That's great, but it would have been 5 yards because his shoulders are square. He's coming downhill at the right movement, at the right angle, making sure that his feet are good. Again, coming here, we don't have a running back there, so shoulders are square, coming front side A gap. Perfect. Exactly what we want. Now I can make a cut. Now I can get better. Nice to have a quarterback getting out there, getting some work in too. But again, with a great athlete, turns into a touchdown. With an average athlete, still 5 yards because we're being efficient with our footwork. We're making sure that we're getting downhill. We're allowing all that stuff to work for us. So Different scheme here. Backside A gap is the aiming point. Always like stuff like this because it's not sexy run. It's not the best thing doesn't look like a 20-yard gain, but shoulders are square. Backside A gap is our aiming point on this. And we're getting vertical off it, and it's 7 yards in a tough game. Big time win for us. All right, get going here. I'll move through one more clip here. It's just some of our down scheme. You can see some of the downhill shoulders and what we want from them. Coming front side A gap, back side A gap on down scheme. And obviously, this isn't a scheme deal, but we could talk through it. See him getting the second level right here. We don't teach. I don't know if running back coaches we teach it enough, but it's understanding body position with someone who's attacking you, and whether and anybody who coaches a little bit of defense, should be near foot, near shoulder. Now, this is a really good example of why. If you're not near foot, near shoulder, you feel that guy over pursue you, then you can cross his face. All right, so I think that's a good offensive or defensive clip right there of what bad tackling is. And again, then we'll go through some NFL film to give our guys the backbone of saying this is really another example of it. And I don't know exactly Pittsburgh scheme or what they're doing, but it sure does look like Le'Veon Bell's shoulders are square coming downhill. He's being explosive, getting through a gap. So not making a ton of people miss, not doing too much in the backfield, a little bit different running backs when Adrian Peterson was there. Perfect, man. Holy cow, 7 yards, big time win. But encouraging those guys that it's not all about those huge ones, making sure that we're efficient with what we're doing, coming downhill, really good job. Like he needs me to say good job, but anyway, one and done transitional speed. So this is a big deal for us too. Again, like I said before, it's how are we being efficient with our movement? It's not just how fast am I in the open field, it's how fast can I get from 5 yards to 10 yards? How fast can I get from 0 to 10? And if we're great at that, then we're great at it all. As running backs, I think we've got basically 3 different cuts. You got a 45-degree cut like we're working here. You got a square cut, which is more like outside zone, wide zone. And then you got the jump cut. We'll work all 3. Don't have a ton of film on what I used to do for jump cut stuff, but we could talk through it if you guys need to. Biggest thing for me always is keeping your feet in your frame, making sure that your hip, your knee, and your ankle are all in line so you can be explosive off it. Don't want our feet outside of our frame. Always tell them they should be able to make a cut on ice with tennis shoes on because their feet are in their frame. So this is a real simple drill I do it's not 100 miles an hour, but it's allowing them to explode to something and then get their foot up in the air and hold it. And it's teaching them, okay, how can I explode to it and keep my body weight over my leg and over my knee. Real simple. Keep that foot up in the air, and then I'll give them an ending point there to have a weak shoulder run. Not 100 miles an hour, but it's teaching them again, how do I have that body weight over my front foot when I cut? Because if I don't, then I'm not going to be able to hold it up in the air. Okay. Cones are exact same spot. Second progression is we want to get out of the receiver mentality. We're taking 55 steps to turn a corner. You know those. And then sorry, my son is talking to me. And then this is just doing the same thing, just trying to cut with just 2 steps. Weight on the outside foot, hips are down. I'm running. I'm turning the corner, I'm exploding, and then again, I'm trying to give them a look right here of what it looks like if you've got a second level defender. Can I outrun him? Or can I cross his face? I'd probably cross my face right here. My near foot is back. But watch this guy as he comes through. This is a great rep right here. Both his hips are down. I'm just turning the corner. Again, this isn't the most complicated drill, but I think it's really important that they know how to turn without making so much body movement that they're wasting movement, they're wasting speed. They don't have them just jump. Again, the reason for this is if you're jumping like this on 1 foot, you have to have your weight underneath you. Learning to transition your speed and explode off it. real simple drill, not something we do every day, but teaching them how to have that weight over their body and be able to explode off. Okay, as we come to some of the bags here, nothing too crazy or innovative about this, but I think the biggest coaching point is always saying you got to cut off your outside foot. You have kids cut off their inside foot, they're not as explosive. They don't allow themselves to really have the power coming out of it. There he's cutting off his outside foot, and then come attack that jump cut at the very end. Again, jump cut fundamentals that I always teach is you got to attack your landmark, you got to attack that defender as fast as you can, and then you got to keep your feet as close to the ground as you can. Don't bring them together. Keep them as close to the ground as you can, and be able to explode out. I always say cleats are control. So the closer your cleats are to the ground, especially in the jump cut, the more control you have, the more that you can really explode out of that thing as you get vertical. But again, the teaching point on that is how we cutting off our outside foot, how we're being efficient with what we're doing. Okay, bags, really simple, 2 feet going in, then we're going to turn, 1 foot coming back. Biggest thing for me on this is how do we transition? Want 2 steps on the transition, want our butt down, want our hips down. He took 3, 1 too many. Want our hips down, butt down, feet in our frame, knees up and explode. And we all know this as coaches, but I think it's important. I always tell the guys, look, the reason we're doing this is if a defense sees just your knees and your shoulder pads, you're in a great spot. So this is a way that we're teaching you how to get your knees up and drive your knees as you run. So he's driving his knees, he's coming up, hips down. This is great. His hips are down, he's exploding out, and he's transitioning. Okay, one I'll do here is sideways, and I'll have a ball or a verbal cue, one of the two. At any point, I can throw the ball, and they've got to try to not waste movement to come forward. Just like anything in our zone run game, you don't know when exactly that hole is going to open. So I got to be able to be explosive and get out of it as quickly as I can. So he gets a little stuck in the mud right here. Don't want that step back at all. Just as I'm coming, I want to be able to explode out of it immediately and be able to catch that football. As they get better, it becomes a little bit harder, but it could come at any time. This is a really nice job by him. We don't have wasted movement right here. He sees the ball. That step comes in the ground. He's exploding out. This is great. Step in the ground as he sees it exploding out. Real easy. Mocking me right there, telling me it's too easy for him. Okay? So, again, that's another way to do it. This I don't have film on. One of the most efficient drills that I've done inside zone work. Learned it from people along the way, but let's just pretend that all these are trash can here, trash can here. Coach is in the middle on the trash can, 2 trash cans behind. The closer these trash cans get, the harder it is. Okay, have your running back on either side going through his zone footwork, coming right at you. You give him a directional on where to go. Obviously, if you point this way, he comes this way, and then verbally you say inside or outside. Then he has to plant and come inside or outside that trash can. You can do that with a spin. You can do it with a jump cut. You can mess around with it, but really efficient, getting those guys to know. And, I say one and done cut, but really legitimately, usually on that, especially inside zone, it's a 2-cut game where you're making your first cut and then making a cut off a linebacker getting vertical. So the guy's coming to the trash can with the coach in the middle. Coach is going to move that trash can one direction or the other, and then give him an inside or outside call behind that, and making that guy work for it. So really, really efficient drill right there. I like it. Another one that I've used is the same setup. Instead of having the running back here, have the coach in the middle. The running back in the middle, and then it's just a 4-corner drill where this cone is 1, this cone is 2, this cone is 3, this cone is 4. And then the running back's got to explode to it and come back. He's got to explode to it and come back. And what I do with that is I'll give him a verbal cue, but then a visual cue too, and have them do what the visual cue is telling them. So I could yell 1, but then put up a 2, and they've got to go to number 2. The reason I do that, again, is they got to trust their eyes. They got to have their eyes up. The more you can train their eyes to be up through all this stuff, not having their head down. Even when they do ladder drills, tendency, you always have people have their head down. Can't see anything. We play football with our eyes up. So on a 4-corner drill, I try to give them a verbal cue, but also give them a visual cue and make them listen to that visual cue and then cut off that visual cue. A way to get ball security stuff on that is have 4 running backs on those cones, and as they go, they try and hit the ball out. And that's some of that stuff. Obviously, have some more drills, but that's some of the more every down drill stuff. Look at some film here. I think this is a really good job of transitional speed right here. Coming to it and then exploding out, not wasting movement at all, and getting going. It's just in normal inside zone that H-back's going for the overhang, reading the defensive end. But if we watch our shoulders coming downhill, we're being nice with our feet inside our frame. We're being explosive coming out of that thing like we're shot out of a cannon. I think that's a good example of it. Another pretty good example here. Here, make a decision and go. Again, not a 20-yard gain, but an 8-yard gain in a close game is a big deal. So we're making a decision. We're being explosive. We're getting downhill. Really nice job by him. And then we got a couple other examples, NFL film, again, of guys just being efficient with their feet. These guys are at the highest level of their game, being really efficient with their feet, not wasting movement, no wasted movement at all. Really efficient, getting downhill, it's an 8-yard gain. Efficient, getting downhill, it's an 8-yard gain. Really nice. Same thing here. Really, really good jump cut right here. Great example of a jump cut. And I think it's important that you learn your players and what they do well. I've coached guys that just jump cuts really difficult for them. So, I don't drill it a ton with those guys. I want them to get better at it, so I drill a little bit, but it's not what they major in. Something like this is a really efficient jump cut. That's a guy I would be working a lot of jump cuts with. I think, one of the great things, and this is from a couple years ago, obviously, with Le'Veon Bell, but what makes him great is his patience. And I think it's important that you teach your guys who they are and how they play. And some guys try to be so patient. I know when he was having a great year, a lot of my guys were like, hey, I'm trying to be patient like Le'Veon. I'm like, look, you're not as explosive. You can't be that slow out of it because you can't get out as fast as he gets out. But if we watch this, it's a great example of a jump cut. Boom, feet are close to the ground. Look at him get vertical. Literally, as he comes here, he's vertical right now. The minute his feet hit the ground, cleats are controlled. The minute his feet hit the ground, he's getting vertical off it. Excellent example of what a jump cut looks like. Again, just a different view here. Some different running backs that run differently. Being efficient with his movement, man, doesn't second guess himself and goes. Okay, working ball security now. Again, if anybody has any questions we go through, go ahead and shoot them. Working ball security now. Do a ton of this stuff that I'm sure you guys do, but I'll show you some of it. First thing we'll do, and this is something I started doing when I figured out we were having some problems having the ball secure as we were going down, is I have them do up downs with the ball, and keeping the ball nice and tight on their chest the whole time, getting down and getting up, and having someone try to hit it as they get down and up to make sure that they're secure on it. Again, never want to leave it in the referee's hands. If you're falling down, you hit the ground, the ball comes out. Not everybody has instant replay. We don't want to leave that in anybody's hands. We want to hand the ball to the official at all times. So this is a good way for teaching them really how to fall. How do you fall and keep that ball in your chest? I say I'd rather have you have a broken rib than have that ball on the ground. So keep it nice and tight in your chest the whole time, then get up and explode out. How do we fall and keep the ball secure? How do we fall and keep the ball secure? In this one, we're putting ball in each hand. The reason we're putting a ball in each hand is so we can't cover up with the other. We're just learning how to protect the ball with our shoulder. So I'm coming down with my shoulder, come over the ball as those bags come at me. I'm just protecting the ball with my shoulder. I'm tucking that ball inside my body as I'm coming into contact, and I'm allowing my shoulder to be that battering ram to take on some of that impact that's coming for the ball. Again, we're just teaching them. Always do this with them. Not a drill that the kids love too much, especially if I get my boxing gloves out and really start to hammer on that ball. But I have them run on their knees for 30 seconds with the ball, and someone just trying to hit it. It's not realistic. We're not going to be running with some guy hammering the ball like that, but it gives them a good feel to say, how am I going to make sure that ball is tight at all times? How am I going to make sure I got my 5 points of contact, tip up, whatever your keywords are. I think, again, keywords are important, but yours are what they are. I always said tip up, just like a drink. Make sure that when that tip never comes down, that water wouldn't be spilling out. Make sure that elbow's nice and tight and close. But this gives them an ability to feel what it's like to have some pressure, to have some contact, not put that second hand over top, but really keep it nice and tight, and then not do what this guy's doing, brother-in-law. But you really want to smack him that ball. I mean, we used to have a lot of competition saying, can you get the ball out? Can you hit that ball hard enough to get it out? Get it nice and tight, make it difficult. Whoever's the guy hitting the ball out really got to hammer on that thing. We've all done this drill, just holding that back, again, teaching them how do I do this? And I think as a coach, it's important that you watch from behind, make sure their elbows are in. You don't have a backside sag like this guy with that ball hanging out on the backside at all. Same thing here, just holding on that back coming forward. Something I started doing with them because I don't love guys transitioning football all the time in the middle of the line of scrimmage. In fact, when you watch a lot of my drills, you won't see the guys when we're in a cone drill switching their hands a lot, because I just don't think it's a good deal in the middle of the line of scrimmage switching your arms. Obviously, if we're going to the sideline, we're coming down the sideline, you want to stiff arm someone, switch the ball. But instead, how do we keep that ball as we cross the guy's face? How do we keep the tip up? And this is a great view here. This is what I'm saying. I don't want the ball coming over our chest. If we have a problem, we feel like it's becoming insecure. I want this backside hand to come right over the top of the ball right here. But again, we're teaching them how are you efficient with what you're doing here. And as you cross the face, your ball doesn't have to be in the opposite hand every time. You're not going to do that in the middle of the inside zone when you're making a cut of the linebacker. I want to just be able to make sure that the tip doesn't come down as I make the cut. And again, started doing this because through all the work with the running backs, I saw a lot when a guy makes a 45-degree cut, there's a tendency that ball tip really goes down, and they almost become like a basketball player and use their arms, like their arms are making part of that cut, when it can't be like that. They've got to stay efficient with what they're doing. They got to make sure their tip's up. If they feel insecure, come without top hand over, but they can't use their arms as a juke maneuver. They got to be able to keep it nice and tight with it. Again, making sure that we do that as we work through. And that's just some examples of what that looks like in the open field. Always love when you can look back on film and you see your guys fundamentally doing what they should be doing when it comes to ball security. Okay, so we're going to see this young man with that ball nice and high and tight on his chest, that even as he comes and you see all that collateral damage coming across him and coming through him, that ball is nice and tight, and he's allowing it to stay on his pads. Good example here too, because there's a ton of traffic coming through here. Ends up going underneath someone's armpit, but the ball's nice and tight, and at the end he switches it. But if we look here, he's getting pressure from a front side linebacker and keeping it nice and tight. True. No. So he's keeping that as that running back comes, hitting it right there. Again, some more examples. Don't need to spend a ton of time doing it. And then some NFL examples of what that really looks like. Blocking, do a ton of different stuff with blocking. I'll show you a few of the drills and some of our keywords of what we're talking about. I always do a 3-tier thing when we're talking to them. And I think it's really good when you talk blocking to use some of the same terminology that you use blocking and open field tackling, so that your special teams guys, your defensive guys that are coming and blocking on kick return or whatever, they know what they're doing. So always talk about keeping your hands tight instead of just saying, thumbs up. I've heard people say that, or whatever it is. I always just say, pretend like you're hitting your elbows together. Make sure that as we come into contact with somebody, we're hitting our elbows together, our hands are inside their chest plate. And this is just 2 steps, just teaching them from the ground up where I want my hands and how efficiently I want my feet. Don't just jump into it, get 2 steps in the ground, make sure they're nice and tight. We're putting our hands in. Okay, now we worked on our hands, now we'll work on our feet. Okay, something that started using a couple years ago, learned from somebody else, is that I don't say break down when you're going into the open field block. I say long stride to short stride. And I don't know if you guys have heard that before, but I think it's a really good thing when you talk tackling, when you talk open field blocking. It's long stride to short stride because I don't want to think breaking down as being less aggressive. I want to think that I'm still striding. I'm just making my stride shorter. So right now we're teaching them long stride to short stride, coming in and then working our hands. We're not trying to blow anyone else up, but we're working long stride to short stride. We're attacking our short stride into it. We're not breaking down and stopping our feet from moving. We're attacking long stride to short stride. Okay, so we go hands, we go our feet. Now we'll work our hips. Just have those bag holders move a little bit. So now we got to work to get our hips in front. It's still long stride to short stride, but we're having a reaction off them. Our hands are inside, feet are nice and tight, hands are tight, and we're working that drive. So again, we'll go hands to feet to movement. Sorry, I got a question here. See if I can figure it out. All right, it's not pulling up. Apologize. And then as we come here, we're looking pass blocking. I'm working inside to outside on the pass block. And what I really want to emphasize on inside with these guys is they've got to make sure they're coming, they're bringing it. This is an inside linebacker. Make sure our weight is on our inside foot. Make sure the inside hand is our strong hand. We're attacking it with good pad level and leverage, and we're having our eyes up. But we really got to attack that thing. Now we'll work the edge rusher where it's a little more finesse. We're just making sure we're playing ricochet football and directing him out and around. So a lot of what we talk with offensive linemen, just ricochet him, direct him out and around. Make sure, again, even as we come to the outside here, our strong hand is our inside hand, okay? We don't want to be attacking this guy with our outside hand as he's coming around the corner. Can create some problems for us. Your strong hand is your inside hand, just like we would teach a left tackle. Your strong hand is your inside hand. You're getting that on his back, and then right now, if he decides to spin back, that backside hand feels it, we can redirect, okay? But we want to direct him out around. And we're just teaching them how do we attack the inside with aggression, attack that inside with some really good aggression, and then after attacking that inside with aggression, how do we come outside? Boom, inside with aggression, then outside, we're mirroring him and coming inside out and being able to attack him and hit with our hands. Mirroring him, inside out, attack him, hit with our hands. Such as an inside-outside drill. I know, people probably do rabbit drill. I try to do rabbit drill just with a medicine ball, just to give them something different. Again, keys on this are we want to keep our feet shoulder width apart. Don't want them to come together. We don't want to be hopping. Always want one foot on the ground. So just like we're doing the basketball slide, we never want 2 feet off the ground, and we always want to sit on that guy's inside leg. And the guys that I coached for a long time that got really good at this had way less movement than what this kid's doing right here because they just sat on that inside leg. They weren't worried about being overly aggressive to the outside leg. Quarterback's inside, sit on the inside leg. Make sure that that we're sliding. There's always 1 foot on the ground. 2 feet are never off the ground. We're sitting on the inside leg and keeping our hands up, being ready to throw the ball. We're just sometimes their hands get a little bit off with their feet, so the ball allows them a chance to get their hands on it and get their hand and their feet working together, working in concert, and being able to do things efficiently with that. Some examples here of what that looks like from running back position. I think these are pretty good examples of this guy being aggressive as he comes. He's coming in, inside out. He's trying to protect the pocket. And again, I think this is why it's so important that running backs understand scheme. I mean, how many times have you told offensive linemen to stop, turn around, and see where the quarterback is, know where the pocket is, okay, know where you're protecting. It's very important for the running backs too. I'm not just arbitrarily trying to hit somebody. I'm trying to maintain a pocket, whatever it is, 5-step, 7-step, 3-step, play action, whatever it is, I'm trying to maintain that pocket so our quarterback can step up into it. So I think it's vitally important that a running back maintains the same thing. And our quarterback gets a little bit out of the pocket. That's not our fault right now. That's not the O-line's fault. But he's allowing him to get to that spot by attacking that backer as he comes, and not sitting back on his hands and waiting for it. Okay, it's cut block. Won't spend a lot of time on this. Obviously, high school wise in California, we're not allowed to do this. If you're in high school in another state and you can cut block, congratulations. We couldn't. So, and cut rules in college have changed so much too that this is all iffy anyway. That was a while ago, and we were doing a ton of cut block stuff. So, if we look here too, we'll see good hands and good feet as he comes up to it. Good hands and good feet, boom, inside out. Show you from the tight so you can really see a good example of this. Know where the pocket is. Attack the line of scrimmage. This is just like that drill. We're sitting in between the cones right here. Boom. My inside foot's my weight-bearing foot. My inside hand's my weight-bearing hand. I get my hips down, my hands inside, and I really give that guy a thump. So this is, again, great job of him understanding where the pocket is, understanding where he needs to protect, understanding where that quarterback is coming up to. One more here as we look. Again, understanding the integrity of the pocket. Where's that quarterback need to come? His eyes scan inside, outside. This was a half slide scheme. He had the backside. Sees that guy, stays committed to it, and then it aggressively comes and gets his feet and hands in a good spot on that. We'll skip this stuff. We're almost out of time, so go to a few more. Pass threat, don't have a ton on this because I don't have a ton of film on what we do pass threat wise, but just like run hookup, I think is really, really important that no matter what you're doing, you're getting some quarterbacks throwing balls. First of all, because not all of us who coach running backs have good arms. I had 3 surgeries. I can barely throw a football 10 yards. I want to give my running backs a good look. So I want to get them a ball that's coming from a guy that's going to be throwing them a ball. And secondly, I think it's important that the quarterback gets the feeling of what it looks like for his check down. So, if it's a 5-step, he goes into it, he hitches, he takes a read, he climbs the pocket, and then he's able to hit that running back on the run, on the move, a little sponge, whatever it is, but can put him in a place to be effective. So we're just working our check down routes right now, whether it's an angle, whether it's a trickle, whether it's an arrow, all those different things. We'll work with the quarterback to give him a realistic ball, and again, give that quarterback a chance to get the timing on what that looks like too. And it's just like anything else. I think you catch balls better by catching balls and catching them from people that know how to throw it. Big point of emphasis for me with the running backs always is I want them to be able to turn in their shadow. Okay, so even if this guy, he's running his route and it looks slow, but it's because it's really a check down route. It's not a free release. It's not 5-man protection. It's 6-man protection he's getting out after. He's really keeping his feet in his frame as he goes, and then we're exploding out. See, that's a realistic ball that they need to be able to catch. There's a ball coming with a little bit of pace right to his outside shoulder, and then he's got to be able to tuck that thing and get downfield. Big point of emphasis always is turn in your shadow. So I always want to have those guys, if we're doing any drills, have them be able to turn in their shadow or get downfield quickly. There should be space, especially if we're a 6-man check down protection. If we're in empty or we're doing a free release on that, it's a little bit different. But there should be some space, be able to take where the quarterback's throwing you, and then sit down and turn your shadow. That's almost it here for time-wise. A few examples here, what this looks like. Scheme doesn't matter. We just know our running back's got a trickle over the field side right here. Everything coming the opposite side. He's the check down, and then he's just trusting his speed and getting downfield. Nice job by him being able to check protection and get down to it. I know a ton of us do scale too. Something we started doing with scale that I think it was really helpful too is running backs can get lazy in scale, like really lazy. They just kind of walk up to the line, pretend like they're blocking somebody. The way that I appease that is I'd have the 3rd string or 4th string quarterback throwing in their check down every single time. So they're catching the ball every single time because usually it's not an integral part of the scheme. He's not going to get in the way of anything. That's why we put him in a certain position in check down, whether it's the middle of the field or with the flats or whatever it is. So if you do that, that allows them to really be aggressive when they come to their check down. They're catching the ball and they're more locked in and engaged, because there's nothing more irritating than doing scale and having the running backs just float up to the line of scrimmage, pretend like it's not even on the field. It doesn't do anybody any good. It doesn't help anything. So I think it's good for them to see protection, know who the linebackers are without D-line sitting right there, and know who their responsibility is. Something simple is having them legitimately point to who their responsibility is every time they come up, especially in scale, to get them used to what they're doing and where they're going with it. And then from that point, do their actual check down to have a quarterback throwing them a ball, so they don't just waste time. It's really, really irritating to me. Again, that running back's getting out on that, allowing him to get out there and catch the ball and turn it shallow. This is just a screen game for us. Good job by the running back getting behind the bigs. Great job by the bigs getting out there and working it. All right, I think if I can figure out how to see this last question, I'll pull it up. Other than that, I think that's the time for us. It's supposed to be done at 1:50 here. I think my email for you guys, if you want anything or have any questions. Okay, I finally figured out the answer. Just shoot me emails if you have any questions. I'll shoot you something. Should be on the website. If not, it's bbuys, BBUYS at lasalehs.org. If you want anything from me, have any other questions, or want some of the stuff I wrote down, be great. So the question was on cutting a big D end or backer. Do you have specific drill or technique? The way I always said it is, we always want, if it's pass scheme, we always want to be protecting the insides. We want to go through his inside leg, and then eyes up, we want to act like we're throwing our arm through his crotch. So our arm's going between his legs, eyes are up, we hit, and then as we finish, we roll through. So I'm going to throw my arm through his crotch, and then as I come through, just in case, by chance I didn't actually get him down, then I'm going to roll through and make him work it from there, and give him some more problems and trying to deal with that. So that's what we always said, eyes up, hand through the crotch, aiming point is a thigh board, not too high, not too low, and then roll through. So hopefully that answers your question, and whoever asked that's still around. And I think that should be it. I think I got a text from Keith here. Make sure to shut it down. Okay. That's it. 4:50 Eastern time, 1:50 California time. It's beautiful out, and enjoy the sun. Appreciate you guys for running through here. Again, any questions, shoot me an email, and that should be it.